Alright, so I'm going to make this video just to clear up some stuff. And this is going to be an awful short and concise video compared to the videos that I've been doing lately where I'm just ranting and raving. This ain't a rant or a rave at all. This is me pointing out and spelling out an ideology that I've believed pretty much my entire life. Racism and racists are all losers. All racists are they're losers, including myself. I'm an American, so I do have some racism in me, some racial tendencies, some hurt. Growing up in Chicago, getting jumped. I was about to say usually getting jumped by other races, but in Chicago, when you get jumped, I never been racist as far as like my dating. Later in your life, after I moved to Texas, I did definitely. I had some crazy experiences dating girls of different races, so I did just stop dating girls that weren't brown as me, or whatever. If I think your father's racist or your family's racist, I don't even want to take that chance. And acknowledge that you're racist. And we all racist. And a lot of people just never traveled enough to know that they're racist. Me, though, born and raised on South Side of Chicago with a name like Diego. Now, black people love to say that we can't be racist. And there's some truth to that, especially when you talk about a person black like myself. Look at my ancestry results. But you don't even have to look at that. I knew I had European blood in me. I knew I had Latino blood in me. I knew I probably had Jewish blood in me. And yeah, the Ashkenazi Jew. Turned out to be Ashkenazi Jew when I got the DNA test back. But I knew that. I ain't gonna say I knew it, but I suspected it. But that's the whole point where I say some black people can't be racist. Now, just because you mix with something, you can still hate that race. And a lot of black people, y'all need to watch that. Because you might find out that the race that you hate the most is the race that you mixed up with the most. And then you might meet some of your relatives that are the race. You meet them and you look more like them than anybody that you ever met in your family, especially if you come from a family like mine. My mom grew up in a foster home, and she understood and felt that pain of being too light or looking too mixed. And I didn't really feel pain from that. I got teased for being different. I actually got teased for being light-skinned when I was growing up, which was funny because then I moved to Texas. And the Texas brothers down here never really made fun of me for being light. But I did have a buddy that I met in Texas. He was from Connecticut, same place Candace Owens from. And he used to make fun of me for being dark-skinned. And I used to laugh at him, like, you think I wish I was as light as you? Because he was really light-skinned. He was like piss yellow, what we would call in the neighborhood. Which, again, when it come to that, you see I smile when I call him piss yellow. I don't mean that with no malice or no content or no ill willing. Shades of brown are shades of brown. The darker the better, especially as men, because that means you probably worked in the sun a little bit, and I respect that. I'm that type of dude. I respect you if you work in the sun, like Jesus, the Son of Man, or like our ancestors. If you believe that you are descended from the Hebrews, God commanded that they work 6 days, like men, farming or going to war or whatever. Even though a lot of things that we think of when we think of the Bible, it's not what the Bible says at all. There's morals to all those stories. People bring up some of the horrors in the Bible, some of the things that happen in the New Testament, like slavery, for instance. They try to make it seem like God endorses slavery or God condones slavery. He didn't. How on earth could you miss the point of that? God didn't start slavery. He rescued his people from enslavement in a world full of slaves. And they were a small tribe full of large nations that hated them and their God. And they couldn't just abolish slavery at the time because the world had become completely enslaved. And I believe that the tribes of Israel were different shades of brown. I think that's like a overarching message of the Exodus and the whole thing about those, you're not supposed to have any images of anything, heaven, earth, or anything like that, nothing that's related to holiness. So I think that whole commandment is about, don't worry about what color I am. Don't worry about race, what race I am. I'm not a human, stupid. It doesn't matter what color my skin is because I don't, might not have skin. Who knows? Um, we can't even think of what God is. It's another reason why it's so crazy when you think of the modern day American version of Christianity, where they talk about the white hair and the sitting on the throne, sitting on the throne. You know, I think all of that stuff is metaphorical, man, because the Israelites worship kings, but God in heaven kept telling them not to. Anyway, I did get religious, and I will be religious because the Bible is the foundation of my life. And the Bible doesn't say that black people are ugly or any of that. It says the opposite. The Bible literally says Ethiopian women are the most beautiful women in the world. Now, of course, we don't know. Let's say, for instance, it was written only 7,000 years ago, which I think is nonsense. I don't think the Bible says that it's only 7,000 years ago. I know what they say, how they get to the math, genealogy, and all that other type of stuff. But no, the 12 tribes of Israel were lost. I think they are lost. I think they're lost, and lost for a reason. And I'll explain that in my Bible study if I get a chance to do it. But I did want to put that message out there. I don't want nobody misunderstanding me because I will be making a lot of racial videos and I will get mad. And the one race that I'm the quickest to defend are Black Americans. It is what it is. Doesn't matter what I'm mixed with, because that's the race that's the most oppressed, and that's the race that has the least power and the least solidarity, and that's the most tampered with and the most interfered with and the most talked about. It is what it is. People don't want to admit that, but it is what it is. You got people all over the world dressing like rappers. No respect for the culture. Even here in America, we don't respect the culture. People be talking about the black church. That annoys me so much because I've traveled so many. I've been all around. I've fellowshipped with black people all over the country. There ain't no black church. You can't go to one city where all the black congregations have the same doctrine. And I like the black people I've studied with when they take the Bible serious and when they're not. One reason I used to love to study with the Jehovah's Witnesses is because they're so no frills. It's not, I've never fellowship with Jehovah's Witnesses where it was like a fashion show or peacocking and, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, we're all human. Any church that's going to get big, things are going to creep in. And there's going to be rebels. That's another thing about the Bible and the devil and all that. That's, some people say that Bible stands for basic instructions before leaving earth. And I think that's a great acronym to explain what it is. And another thing, I've thought about a lot of things. I've been wanting to make a black blasphemous Bible study or maybe a black and brown blasphemous Bible study. But it's going to be a brown. As a matter of fact, this is what I think I'm going to call it. A, B, C, D. Agnostic, brown, Christian discussion. Something like that. Because Christianity is such a good faith. Christianity would be the perfect religion if they only practiced the 12 commandments of Jesus and the 10 commandments, the 2 commandments of Jesus and the 10 commandments from the Old Testament, because the 10 commandments explicitly say that these commandments are to be for all time. And then Jesus came and he gave his 2 commandments. I do think Jesus was the Messiah, but I don't think that he wanted us to worship him. He wanted us to open our minds and open our eyes and stop looking at what's in front of us, and stop praying, demanding that God, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people be like, if God was this and God was that, then blah, blah, blah. That's why you don't deserve nothing. You don't respect God. You don't respect God. And that's the number one thing, respect God. And you can't respect God by wanting to oppress or disrespect any of the humans that he created. All humans, the greatest creation that God ever made was free will, according to the Bible. That's what I read. And I'm ready to start debating the Bible too. Maybe that'll be it. ABCD. Agnostic, brown, Christian debates. If anybody watches that, which one should it be in the comments? Agnostic, brown, and I add agnostic because it has to be agnostic or it's not faith.